you do not have to reciprocate that type of energy. You can literally choose, right? That's the point of being unbothered. You can choose, right? You can decide to respond in a different way, or you could choose to simply ignore, right? Part of being unbothered is being able to have self mastery. Okay. Now, what is self mastery? What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Let's Just Be Real podcast. I'm your host, Marissa Tong. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode this week. Happy freaking Tuesday. If you're listening to this on a Tuesday, I am so happy because today we are celebrating our 100th episode. I don't know how we got here, child. I really don't, but the gods of consistency have brought us here today. So shout out to me. I'm gonna just say that. I'm gonna take a little Issa Rae / Snoop Dogg moment. Shout out to me, okay, for getting us to our 100th episode. But also shout out to our guests. I want to give a shout out to every single person who's been a guest on the podcast so far, who has made this podcast what it is. I am loving these conversations. I'm so happy that I get to sit down. I'm so grateful that I get to sit down and talk with different people every single week and to pick their brains and just to bring you guys different perspectives, different education, different resources. It's been really, really fun. So my goal is to continue to grow this podcast and continue to have fun with it. I think that's the biggest thing for me, like having fun with the podcast. And we'll talk a little bit more about that today because I do have a couple of listener letters and some questions. I don't have a lot because I know if you guys are on my Instagram or my YouTube channel, I put this out super, super last minute, like literally like Sunday night, Monday morning. I was like, hey guys, we're going to do listener letters. So if you guys have any questions or if you want to write a letter, like drop it by 1 p.m. So I know the pressure was on. And so hopefully if you guys didn't make it to drop your questions or your letters, you can still go ahead and use that link. So the link is just going to stay on my Instagram page. It'll be linked in the bio. And then if you go on my YouTube channel under my community on my YouTube channel, you can go ahead and just hit the link and that'll take you to submit your question or your testimonial. Your testimonial could be like, I've been listening to this podcast. I absolutely love it. It doesn't have to be like a rating or review. It could just be like how the podcast has helped you, whatever you want to write. Honestly, you could write me a letter telling me that you just left your man and you're happy, and or that you just had a baby, or that you are stepping into entrepreneurship. I want to hear from y'all. I really want to connect a little bit more with the listeners because I know y'all be listening. Okay, I look at the analytics so I can see how many people listen to every single episode. I can see where people are listening. Shout out to everybody who's listening outside of the United States of America. I love that podcasting allows me to reach people in different countries. Like, it's amazing just looking at all the different countries, right, that people are listening from. Germany, France, Australia, like literally from everywhere. So shout out to our international listeners. Thank you so much again for listening and tuning into the podcast. Even if you're new and you just found the podcast, welcome. So happy that you are here. And I feel like I'm rambling. So let's get into today's topic. Okay. Today's episode was supposed to be like a listener letters type of like engagement thing, but we didn't get a lot of responses because it was super last minute. So we will save that like for another episode. However, I do have 2 to 3 questions and responses that I did get. And I also have a really nice letter that I haven't read yet because I wanted to save it for the show. But I also wanted to talk briefly today about a topic that I feel is really important right now, like just the idea of staying unbothered, being unbothered. If you guys know who Omarion is, or you have heard of Omarion, he's a singer, he's an actor, he's a fellow Scorpio. I love his energy. I feel like I connect with him on like a soul level, but he is the king of unbothered. Like, he's literally been named that. And the reason that he's been named the king of unbothered is because his energy just comes off as like unbothered. Like, it's really just that, right? And when we talk about being unbothered, it is this energy. It is this energy of being very like calm, being very collected, being very regulated, not allowing people to get you off of your shit, right? Not allowing people to get you upset easily. And this is not to say that we shouldn't get upset, and we're human, obviously, like we're going to feel our feels. We are going to go through the emotions. We are going to get upset about things. We are going to be sensitive. Like, we are humans. Like, that is part of our journey here, right? To feel all the feels. So this is not to say that we should not feel the feelings and we are not going to just have human experiences, but being able to control your emotions and being able to control the way that you react, right? Control the way that you get back to people or not getting back to people, right? Sometimes being unbothered is going to just simply mean that you do not respond, that you do not answer, that you do not retaliate, that you do not give your energy, right? Or you do not match other people's energy. Like, we're not matching each other's freak, okay? We're not doing that, okay? So if somebody comes to you nasty, if somebody comes to you with an attitude, if somebody comes to you being rude, disrespectful, you do not have to reciprocate that type of energy. You can literally choose, right? That's the point of being unbothered. You can choose, right? You can decide to respond in a different way, or you could choose to simply ignore, right? Part of being unbothered is being able to have self-mastery. Okay. Now, what is self-mastery? Self-mastery is getting yourself to the point where you have yourself in check, where you're not letting everything and anything just throw you all over the place, right? You know, people who like their emotions and their reactions and their words, and they're just super moody, and you never know what you're going to get. One day you could get someone who's like super happy, right? The next day they could be super like antisocial. They don't want to talk to you. They don't respond to you. They just seem like they're in a really bad mood, right? That is not self-mastery, right? Self-mastery allows you to be able to stay in a place of peace, of zen, of happiness, right? Of always just coming off and just being yourself, being authentic, being real, right? And that's what this show is about. It's about being real, being authentic, showing up, speaking your truth, right? Speaking your truth is also a part of self-mastery. However, I think that a lot of people, they confuse speaking their truth and being super outspoken, right, as the same thing. Being outspoken and speaking your truth are two completely different things. Sometimes when you're outspoken, that just means that you're willing to just say whatever, whenever. There's really no time and place. You're not really able to like read the room, right? You're not really able to understand like, oh, that this is not the time for me to speak out. Versus when you are someone who speaks your truth, you understand that there is a place and a time, and you also understand that speaking your truth is a part of being authentic. And that doesn't always mean that you need to be the loudest person in the room. That doesn't always mean that you need to even say anything, right? You could speak your truth by simply journaling. You could speak your truth by podcasting, right? That's what I love about this podcast. I get to show up and be authentic and speak my truth. And guess what? I don't feel like I'm offending anybody, because the people that tune into this podcast, it's because they want to hear what I have to say. They want to hear me speak my truth, right? So again, speaking your truth is not giving like unsolicited advice or unsolicited opinions, right? It's not that. That's being outspoken, right? And again, there's really nothing wrong with being outspoken if you want to be outspoken. However, I would much rather be someone who is a truth teller and someone who has good discretion. I think that's also like a key word here, having discretion. So when you learn how to master yourself, you are able to understand, again, the right place, the right time. Is this even the right person that I should be telling this to? You know, like, is this even worth it? A lot of the times, like, we end up wasting our breath, right? We end up wasting our breath trying to speak, just really trying to force people to see our perspective, trying to force people to see our point of view. And when you're unbothered, you know that you cannot force. There is no forcing. right? Being unbothered means that you have an understanding that it is what it is. I would say like that's an adopted saying of an unbothered person. It is what it is, right? What can I do? When you're unbothered, you know that you're not able to control every situation. It's impossible. We're not here on this earth to control everything. That's not our job. What we're here to do is to take control of our actions, right? To take accountability, to take responsibility, to focus on the things that we can do to not only just make other people feel some type of way, right? It's not always about other people. Being unbothered has more to do with yourself, right? Being able to master yourself. I also think that being unbothered comes with knowing that in life, there's always going to be really hard lessons and knowing that there is going to be challenges, right? There's going to be failures. There's going to be a lot of points of uncertainty. There's going to be a lot of highs and lows. So again, not having such a reactive personality when things are going wrong or when you feel like everything's, in flames, right? Because those things are just going to happen. Like that is just how life is. Nothing is going to be smooth and perfect all the freaking time. And when we do have those moments of really allowing things to happen, like really good things are happening and you're in flow and you're just receiving all these blessings, that's when you should really be just present. Be present, soak it in, like take in those moments, like really be grateful. That's when you should show the most gratitude when things are going right for you. And not to say that we shouldn't show gratitude when things are going wrong. I think we also need to stay in a state of gratitude when things are also going wrong or, when negative things are happening in our lives. I think we also need to be grateful at those times as well. I think being unbothered is also about finding your happy moments, right? Finding pockets of joy, creating your own joy, and understanding that you are ultimately responsible, right? You are ultimately responsible for your happiness, for your life, the life that you're trying to build, for your moods, your emotions, going back to that, right? So when you are unbothered, you know that it's about you. It's about the way that you choose to show up. It's about having choice, having autonomy over your life and your decisions, right? And also setting boundaries with other people, letting people know how to treat you, setting the standard when it comes to relationships, when it comes to work, the way that you communicate, and also making it very clear what your boundaries are, right? For instance, don't call me past a certain time. This is the time that I go to bed or I have my self-care time. This is the time that I start winding down for bed, that I start stretching, that I meditate. So setting those things in place, allowing people to understand this is what I need. These are what my needs are. This is where I need to be met, right? That's how you have peace. That's how you stay unbothered. So, yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about that because that's been on my mind, just like this feeling of being unbothered and really just being at ultimate peace with yourself. That's really what it's about. When you have inner peace, everything outside of you reflects that. Everything outside of you reflects that. So when you are at war with yourself, when you are constantly battling your own thoughts, when you are constantly feeling on edge, when you are constantly feeling like you need to fight and push back with other people, your outside world is going to be a reflection of that. Everything in your world is going to be chaos. You're going to constantly see issues with other people. People are going to constantly have issues with you. You're going to constantly feel like people are, trying you. And it's like, no, these issues are coming up because you're attracting them. These issues are coming up because you in your mind believe that these issues are present. Whereas you can come to this place of peace and understanding and feeling unbothered and knowing that you have this control over yourself and that the way that you show up is the way that things are going to manifest in your life. So yeah, enough of the unbothered talk. I hope that, those little tips and gems and all that helped you out. If you guys don't know who Omarion is, please go follow him because he gives like these, I think it's like unbothered Mondays or something like that, but he does like this whole like mirror thing and he does these affirmations. I absolutely love it. I love him. And he's also sexy. Okay, I'm gonna just put that out there. Like Omarion is fine as hell. So, I'd definitely be on that. But let's get into our listener letters before we wrap up today's episode. Okay, so this one, I'm not sure if they wanted me to read their name. I think so, but I'm going to because they've been on the podcast before. So, All right. So this letter starts by saying, Dear Marissa, congrats on making 100 episodes. I'm so impressed with not only reaching this milestone, but how much you continue to grow as a person, woman, podcaster, and business owner. I'm very fortunate to have met you and worked with you. You are one of the few people in this world that make me want to better myself every single day. Thank you for being an inspiration. And most importantly, thank you for being one of the best people I will ever know. Much love as always. Cheers to another 100, Jason Enrique. Oh my God. Thank you so much, Jason. I did not read that before sitting down and this is my first time reading it. I'm not going to cry. Thank you so much, Jason. Jason has been on the show twice, so definitely go and check out our episodes. They were really, really good, and we'll definitely have him back on the show. I was also a guest on his show a couple of times. Shout out to the First Class Second Place podcast. Thank you, Jason, so much. Okay, I'm going to read another one before my camera shuts off because it's been doing a lot of work today. Okay, so I got a question, and this question says, Marissa, I am truly inspired by how consistent you've been with the podcast, showing up even on the days when you haven't wanted to. And I know you've talked about this on the podcast. Please explain or let us know how you continue to stay so consistent with showing up with the show. Okay. Damn. I really focus on the bigger picture. Like for me, that's with anything. That's with my dance business, that's with this show, that's with just personal goals in general. I think I always look at the bigger picture and where I see myself in the next year or where I see myself in the next 6 months. I'm not someone who's like a huge long-term thinker. Like I like to think in short blocks of time. So for me, starting this podcast last August, I wasn't thinking about getting to episode 100. I was just thinking about how can I produce this podcast where I can show up and be, realistic and attract people and attract my tribe and still do it without feeling burnout because I do have, other things going on. So for me, it's always just about, the bigger picture and my goals and where I would be if I wasn't consistent. Like I like that contrast, right? So say I started this podcast a year ago and I was consistent for maybe 6 months and then I completely fell off, which happens with a lot of podcasters. I talked about this actually with one of my recent mentees, and we were talking about staying consistent with the podcast and not falling off and how it's so common for people to start a podcast, maybe get to 20 episodes and then just drop it. And I think I would be more upset and disappointed in myself if I started something and I just gave up, right? Or if I took a long hiatus and it's damn, well, I could have got to episode 100 if I didn't stop. And why did I stop? And obviously there's reasons why people stop, life events, people go through things, mental health, those are real things. But if you're not really experiencing a huge roadblock, why not keep going? Why not keep going? The time is going to pass anyway. We're continuing to live our lives every single day. Every single day I got to wake up. Every single day I got to work. Every single day I got to strive towards something. So I might as well keep showing up, right? And yes, I show up for the listeners. Yes, I show up for obviously the people who, tune into the podcast and all of that and to grow the podcast. But ultimately, I'm showing up for myself. Ultimately, I'm doing this because this is something that I really want to do. This is something that I have fun with. I'm passionate about it. It makes me happy. I know that this is going to continue to just help me grow my brand and to continue to help me with my speaking skills and to continue to help me to network. There's so many benefits that come from podcasting. So that's one of the main reasons why I've been so consistent. And yeah, that's my why. Okay, we have time for one more before my camera cuts off. Have you been wanting to take a heels class for the longest time, but either you don't have heels classes in your area or you've just been too shy to sign up for that class and go for it? Well, I'm super excited to announce that we are officially online. We have heels classes for everyone and anyone, and you can take them any and everywhere. This has been a long time coming. I know so many of you guys have asked if we have online classes, and we are so excited to announce that our classes are now digital. And we have a specific heels fundamentals workshop that you can check out and really get into your heels bag. And the best part about this program is you're not just jumping into a heels class. You're not just jumping into choreography. You will have a full heels fundamentals beginner course where you're able to learn the basics, the fundamentals, how to walk in your heels, your lines, your shapes, how to feel fluid in your body, how to use your core so that you can feel stable and you don't feel like you're wobbling in your heels every single time. And yes, you might wobble the first one or two classes, and that's completely normal. But the best part about this is that you can work at your own pace. So you can break up your modules, do one module a day. You can repeat them. The heels program also comes with core and flexibility training, which is what we need to succeed in heels. We have to have a nice, strong, and solid core. And we also need to work on our flexibility so that we can hit those moves and feel nice and sexy and fluid. So if this sounds like something that you're trying to get into this year and you're ready to step into the baddie that you're meant to be, I invite you guys to go check out our Rhythm and Pumps online heels training program 1.0. Okay, be a founding member, get your price locked in because honey, we are going to blow up this year. I'm telling y'all, and I'm manifesting this right now. So check it out. $19.99 per month. You guys can cancel at any time if this isn't your thing, if it's not working out for you, if you're not really into it. Cancel at any time. No hidden fees, no contracts. Go to our website, www.realrhythmdanceandfitness.com. Head on over to the On Demand tab and check out our memberships. You will not regret it. Looking forward to seeing you. Okay, so this one was a question that was dropped in the little question box on our stories on Instagram. So this one says, how do you continue to stay in your own lane and thrive in a field and industry that seems oversaturated? Oh, okay. I like this question. So the funny thing is, like, I'm technically in two industries that are oversaturated. Like, I'm in the dance and fitness space. I guess those could be separate, but also together. And then I'm also in the podcasting space, which is very overly saturated right now. Like, there's so many people coming out with podcasts, and I think it's great, honestly. Like, my answer to that is you have to really consider, like, what is your definition of things being oversaturated? Because everything is oversaturated. When you think about any industry that you want to enter, say that you want to be a nurse. Oh my God, there's a million nurses, right? And you could think like, okay, well, there's always going to be a demand for nurses. There's always going to be a demand for someone speaking their truth. There's always going to be a demand for coaches, mentors, fitness, right? At the end of the day, people need to take care of themselves. So I consider myself being in the wellness space, right? I don't even think about like, oh, I'm a podcaster, or oh, I'm a dancer, oh, I'm a travel host. Like, I don't think about those things. I think about myself being in the self-care and wellness space and personal development space. And there's always going to be a niche for that. There's always going to be a demand for that. People are always going to need to improve their life. People are always going to need to listen to someone who has been through the mud. People are always going to look for a real, authentic voice. People are always going to need a place to move their body. People are always going to look for a community that makes them feel good and accepted. So for me, I don't think about like, oh my God, this is oversaturated. Oh my God, everybody's doing the same thing. Oh my God. Like, I think I talked about this on my last solo episode about the idea of competition, right? If we think about everyone else as competition, that means that we're not focused on what we're doing. That means that we don't believe in what we're doing. That means that we don't believe in our product. It means that I'm going to always be considering the fact that somebody else is going to do it better than me. I'm always going to be thinking about the fact that I didn't do the same thing that somebody else was doing. And when we compare, we take that energy away from ourselves. So that's something that I also stress with my girls that I mentor and that I coach. We have to focus on ourselves, whether that means taking a break from social media and looking at other people's posts, whether that means just taking the time to really focus on building your confidence and building your belief in yourself and what you're offering, whether that means asking for testimonials and reviews. And that's going to help you build the confidence, right? That's going to allow you to see, okay, other people are seeing value in what I'm bringing to the table. Other people are enjoying what I'm bringing to the table. People are supporting me. People are showing up for me, right? That's going to build that belief in yourself where now, okay, I don't feel like I need to compare myself so much because I know I have something going on for myself. So that's really what it comes down to. But yeah, guys, these were great questions. I would love to receive some more. So again, go ahead and hit the link. I'm also going to link it in the show notes. So we can make this like, I don't know, like a monthly thing, maybe, if we're getting the letters and the questions. I would love to also, answer some questions, maybe give some advice on some things. If I'm qualified, maybe no relationships. I don't know about that. I'm not in a relationship, so I can't answer too much on there. So if you're married, I don't know, maybe go see a counselor or something like that, married friend. But I would love to get some more letters and questions from you guys. This is gonna wrap up today's episode. Again, thank you so much for helping me reach episode 100. This has been really, really fun, and I cannot wait to continue this journey of podcasting and just growing with you guys and expanding. Thank you so much. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, please rate and review the podcast, okay? Especially because we made it to episode 100. Hello. Like, I've been over here working my ass off, okay? Can I get a rating and review, please? And if you guys are watching on YouTube, hit that like button, okay? A like is free. A share is free. A comment is free. Not asking for any money from you guys. This just helps us out, okay? Helps the podcast out. Support your content creators, okay? Support your content creators. I don't think I need to tell you guys. We're over here working our asses off, okay? This is a solo produced podcast. I'm over here doing everything myself. So, show some love, show some support, especially if you're getting value from this podcast. And subscribe to this channel on YouTube and follow us over on Instagram. Let's Just Be Real Pod. And I'll see you guys in another episode. Take care, y'all. Bye.